This is the scene in Lime Street as a handful of toe-ragged southern fascists have tried to enter our city, and they've been corralled and surrounded by the people of this city, and we do not intend to let them march, and they will not go anywhere near Liverpool 8. Alan Gibbons, Liverpool Community Independent Councillor, surrounding the UKIP waddlers on Lime Street.
Happy Socialist Sunday, people. Welcome to the stream. This is the Sunday live stream. On my left eye, I'm your host Lefty. You're all very welcome here this Sunday evening. Solidarity, everybody. We already have Nicola Curtin in the chat, Odin Allfather, Floor Snake, Doc Davies. Good crowd building up here. Good to see you all. This is the first Sunday live stream since the channel passed 5,000 subscribers. Whoop whoop. Yes, at time of coming to stream, precisely 5.1k, 5,100 exactly. If you just join us live on the stream and you aren't subscribed, please do hit that button if you'd like to be the 5,101st subscriber. It also means that you can join others in the chat, check out other content as well. Speaking of which, please do check out that latest video that came out yesterday. Well, it went public this morning, I should say. It was members first, of course. All about David Lammy and the corrupt lobbies, but I will be getting onto that subject in the live stream as well. For now though, good people, please make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream, give us a share around your social media as well. That would be awesome. Currently got around 500 followers on Twitter, I think. We're trying to focus on Blue Sky, so please add us there first if you've got an account. At My Left Eye UK is the tag to follow, the handle. We've also got Herbie Ranger and the Supersonic, so you can hear in the background. The Sunday live stream, resident background music band. Should mention as well, touch wood, fingers crossed, I'm not that superstitious, but you never know. There's been a complete overhaul of the broadcast software. Yes, the Primate IT team been very busy over the last couple of days, fully uninstalling and reinstalling every little element, so fingers crossed we should be free of those technical difficulties that have plagued the streams. Somewhat of late, apologies for that. Alwyn Hornsey is just joining us as well, great to see you, comrade. Happy Socialist Sunday to you. We will, as we always do, on Sundays dip into the fondue lounge with Keith et al. Very shortly. But of course, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to all the members on the channel. Thank you very much, everybody. Please do consider joining this list of people. It's just 99 pence. Not only do you get shout outs on live streams and videos, you get early viewings on content, there's some exclusive stuff there for you to enjoy as well. And I've seen that some members have been enjoying the exclusive content recently. I'd love to get your feedback on that in the comments. That would be awesome. And now we can reveal 105 towards the target of 250. And the membership goal, thank you very much, everybody, for helping us get to 105. Really pleased with that, really pleased to pass the 5k mark recently as well this week. Let's let you good people be seen. This being a faceless channel. But let's get you people involved with the conversation. There we are. Just check that's on live and not top chat. Yes, it is. Odin Allfather currently top of the stack, and with the top fans. Nicola Curtin in second and Floor Snake in third. Well, plenty coming up this evening, people. Let's dip into the lounge, yes, and keep you up to speed with what's coming up. You know it's your favourite earworm across the entire internet, people. Don't you dare deny it. Shout out to the agitator, of course, for concocting this joyous scene. Give him a follow at Agitate 4 Change, that's the number 4 Change on Twitter and stuff. Well, we'll be starting with domestic affairs, and of course, along with the media, Starmer has done his bits in drumming up all of this hype over immigration, which has led to the flag shaggers coming out from behind the rocks all across the country in this flag campaign. But as we're going to see in the few examples, I'm going to show you in embarrassingly few numbers where the far right's concerned. The clip that you saw at the beginning of the stream, I'll be playing that again as we get into the story. That was from Liverpool. I've got a few clips from what went down in there, specifically Liverpool because Nick Tenconi went there. That's someone from the far right who we featured on the channel recently. He's the one who did the salute to a small crowd, but as in all the other locations, the counter-protesters were much larger in number, and especially in Liverpool, it's a good example for seeing them getting chased out after a very poor effort at demonstration, you know, if you want to call it that. As well as getting chased out of towns and cities across the country. Apparently, just speaking of the right in general, Nigel Farage has taken a bit of a hit in popularity with the youth of recent. A little bit about that, but getting into the ilk that you can see on your screen here. Keir Starmer and David Lammy, their hypocrisy exposed. Did put that into the recent video, going to be going into that declassified UK report. Great bit of journalism from them. Shout out to Declassified. So there's a snippet specifically concerning David Lammy that was the subject of the video, and I'll be getting into that a little bit more into the stream. Also this week, Mandelson, that, oh, goodness, nearly said his word in a sentence without feeling queasy. Peter M was trying to slime his way out of an interview when someone was trying to put his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein to him when they bumped into him in public. I don't know if you saw that one recently. It's the way he always has this. Slime is the only word I can use to describe it. This smile, this serpentine. If you notice when he speaks, his tongue sort of rests behind his teeth, if you know what I mean, while he's doing this smile. It's very disturbing, especially when you know the sort of stuff he's involved with. Very ghoulish, very ghoulish. So that's what Peter M has been up to. It's not just Starmer and Lammy though, as I'm going to be going into. The majority of the cabinet, completely at the behest of certain lobbies. You know who we're talking about, people. It begins with a Z. And if it gets its way, then it ends with an entire country and over 2 million people being illegally annexed, occupied, and G-worded. Yes, so there's that to come. What else have I got? Coming up, obviously the latest on Gaza, as the assault on Gaza City itself gets underway. Once again focusing on the reporting of such matters as well. I don't know if you noticed a post from our account on social media earlier. Again highlighting the absence of words like illegal and crime in mainstream media reports about this assault on Gaza, which people like the BBC want to describe as an operation. As they continue to talk about it as though it were an update on a celebrity's efforts at landscape gardening, or a daytime TV show, Britain's greatest loft conversions. Rather than actual war crimes. So yeah, there's that coming up, as well as the latest in protest around Gaza, as well as the counter demonstrations here in the UK. Some good examples all over the world, as well as the latest from that flotilla. The latest flotilla. JK and Mr. Pike Bishop are joining us in the chat as well. Happy Socialist Sunday. Thank you very much for all the flags and watermelons as well in the chat, I should say, people. Let's make sure that chat's nice and updated. Got my left eye on all of the tech tonight, people. Plus, who knows what tangents we might go on as we get through those subjects. Okay, has everybody had a sufficient fill of fondue for now? We'll be back in the lounge later in the stream towards the end as we say our goodbyes. But that will be it for now. Get your fill, just mop up those last bits of muggy hot cheese. For those who can actually stomach the thought of eating in front of such company. It's often best to just politely have a couple of canapes and then excuse yourself. It gets a bit musty in there, doesn't it, Margaret Hodge? So we'll leave Keith for now. Yes, thank you, Herbie. Genie Bottle, thanks for joining us in the chat. You do actually like... the BBC. Yeah, they do like a nice Lofty extension remodelling programme in the middle of the afternoon. Can't even remember the last time I would have entertained the idea of watching daytime television, to be perfectly honest. Not that I'd have any time for it, for a kick-off. But also for its lack of appeal, and with things like that, you know. Meanwhile, June and Terry are having trouble with their loft conversion, but our expert loft converter Andy's in here to offer some expert advice. Certainly anything that features that guy, I've forgotten his name. I think he rose to prominence when he was the narrator of Come Dine With Me, you know, where they go to each other's houses and rate each other's meals and slag each other off. But that's sort of, you know, the real, you know, oh God, I want to attempt it without any practice. But anything that has that in it is right out. I really can't stand that. Who talks like that? Can you imagine being behind them in a shop? Or whatever. Just hear them in public and they sound exactly the same as they do. With this permanent tongue-in-cheek thing where they having a, you know, making cheap shots at whoever they're talking about. But it certainly gets to be too much very quickly. Nina Sadie, the fondue lounge smells like a strange mixture of middle class 80s and that one grandparent's house that always smelled of old Sunday dinner and the coal fire. But suspiciously, even when they'd not even made a Sunday dinner, perhaps. Yeah, if anybody can imagine that. You're probably not far off there, Nina. Splodgy Hodgie might have followed through again, yes, Flo. I'm coping well though, thank you very much for asking. I dare say a lot better than the sofa that Hodges sat on in the lounge there. Keith's Fondue Sundays. Okay, let's get into clips and articles and things like that, people. I'm sure that we're sufficiently warmed up by now as Morbius joins us in the chat. Great to see you, Mo. It's just going to be a short opening comedy clip. And then we will get into things. Super quick before we do though, Morbius is watching / listening from the allotments. Good to see you're out there again, Morbius. I'd certainly encourage anyone who's horticultural or green-fingered, go and check out Morbius's YouTube channel. Oh, whilst I'm on the subject of plugs for viewers, I do have another recommendation coming up later in the stream. It does concern Gaza and Palestine. Always happy to do shout outs for viewers here on My Left Eye. Hope everything's going well in the allotment this evening, Mo. It's also nice to know that the sounds of the streamer running across an allotment somewhere, I find that quite satisfying also. But the Exploding Heads and Colin from Portsmouth are going to appropriately kick us off this evening, and then we'll get into these flags versus counter-protests. So the latest from the Exploding Heads.
Colin from Portsmouth is on the line. Hello, Colin.
Why am I not allowed to have a glass of fizz to celebrate something?
Well, who's stopping you, Colin?
I don't drink, do I?
Right, well, have a cup of tea then.
Fizzy tea? No, thank you.
Sorry, what are you celebrating, Colin?
The silent majority have finally shouted loud enough to win something. The High Court ruling that effing Forest District Council are right to say that immigrants can't stay in hotels anymore.
Well, it's only temporary, Colin, and what are you going to do now? They're not in the hotels. What are they going to do once you've turfed them out?
Let them roam the streets.
Well, I thought roaming the streets was the last thing you wanted them to do. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Well, put them in a holiday camp
A
then.
holiday camp? How's Butlins any different from a hotel in Essex?
All right, bang them on little boats.
You want to stop the little boats, Colin? That's your whole point. Yes,
We'll put them on a big boat then.
That's a cruise ship, Colin. You saying put them on a cruise ship?
Why
That's a
not?
hotel on
Let them see a bit of the world while they're at it. Run
Fine,
here
okay.
once, mate. Let them enjoy themselves. That's what I say.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
mate, thanks for having me on. Love to the family.
Love to the family, Colin. Love to the family.
Tell them not to go on any Disney cruise, though. I caught Olaf having a fag in the bogs, and it put me right off Frozen.
Very good. Short but sweet there from the Exploding Heads. Give them a follow on YouTube. Great channel. Great comedy stuff, but of course parody. Can't keep up with real life, and that's what we're going to get onto first. It's actually just over a year since the far-right Southport riots and the counter-protests in the days afterwards, I was reminded that it was around a year ago that I was at one of the counter demonstrations here in the northwest in Bolton. Definitely worth a watch if you've never seen that. And the content down there from the streets as it happened. This time though, this week, for some reason, what appears to be a minor victory has turned into a ridiculous celebration by the far right involving flags that are appearing on mini roundabouts and other areas. Have you seen them where you are? I saw one mini roundabout yesterday that had an England flag on, as well as a bridge that had a couple of flags on as well. Let us know what you've seen. I don't have the pictures queued up, but I'm sure you've seen a few examples of where it didn't exactly go to plan, and this sort of relates to the level of IQ that we're talking about with people who fall into this particular area of the political spectrum. Certain efforts actually turning out to be depictions of the Danish flag or the Swiss flag with the colours inverted. So two things really. Someone who posted incitement on social media being released after 40% of the sentence was served, which is the normal procedure anyway. Bearing in mind she pled guilty in the first place. It's something that the right have taken as a air quotes win, twinned with a ruling which is currently being challenged, by the way, that hotels can't be used to house asylum seekers. But that's not all done and dusted. So it does actually have a name, this effort from the right. I believe it's the Raise the Flags campaign. Is that it? Morbius, you drove your nephew to Gatwick Airport at 6 this morning and you saw dozens of Union Jacks and St George's flags on bridges, literally dozens, and flyovers across the motorway. Nicola Curtin, thank you very much for the 5 gifted membership. Solidarity for that. I see old Baron von Kochschlapp is one of the recipients, as well as Welsh boy G King UK, Ephra Wells and Andrea Chong. I hope that you enjoy your perks, everybody. I'll duly update the membership goal now. Thank you very much again for that, Nicola. Big up in the chat. 110 now, great stuff. I've got to stop saying great stuff. I keep catching myself saying that on streams. Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, with the flags and whatnot. I've not been able to get down to any counter demos as of yet, but I do have some footage and clips coming up. As I said, I'll be focusing on Liverpool, because that's where Nick Tenconi, who we spoke about recently on the channel, was. He's a UKIPper. All that they could muster in Liverpool, bearing in mind they'd all come from the south, as an independent councillor who made a few videos about this, Alan Gibbons, explains. So they've come up from the south, and there must have been 20 of them. I've seen some aerial shots as well as the footage you're about to see. And I'm not exaggerating, you're talking about 20 people versus 150, 200 counter-protesters. That's in Liverpool alone, other demos around the country. Let's start with Liverpool first and then see elsewhere, but it's a similar story wherever you look. Very few numbers. I don't think those Reform UK football strip t-shirt things are exactly flying off the shelves at the moment either. So once again, do want to give a shout out to Alan Gibbons, who's an independent councillor in Liverpool on the community council. Doing his bit there and standing up to the right, showing that they're not welcome in Liverpool. So unwelcome that I could say with a large degree of confidence that none of the 20 or so on the far right were actually Liverpool residents themselves. They probably all came up on a coach. Like the night before, which would have been Friday night, this taking place yesterday, and then they would have had a piss up and drag themselves out of bed maybe to go down to the front of Liverpool City Hall. So let's see the first bit of documentation from Alan Gibbons.
Latest update, the master race of UKIP with their Führer, Nick Tacomi, who gives Zeke Heil salute, are standing behind us, surrounded by anti-fascists and anti-racists from Liverpool, and basically we haven't got a clue what the police strategy is. They should be stuck back on their buses and off down to wherever they come from, because they're not from here. Alan Gibbons, Liverpool City Councillor.
So as he illustrated there, they're not from Liverpool. The police don't know what to do about them. Just turn the background music up a bit here. It's a total farce. In Liverpool and as well around the rest of the country, you'll find them surrounded by a police barrier, 3 or 4 deep, because there are so many counter-protesters there if they were to meet, especially where the far right are involved. It might get a bit messy, but only briefly. Well, you'll see an example of that here in a moment. In a couple of clips' time, there's an example of one counter-protester who managed to somehow get past the police barrier, and you see him going right up to Nick Tacomi himself and giving him an earful. Doesn't get physical, but immediately, as soon as Nick Tacomi realises it's someone who's not on his side, he does what's expected of the right. He lashes out, and a short time later they were pretty much run out of the city. Let's hear a bit more from Alan though. I'll play the clip that was at the top of the stream.
This is the scene in Lime Street as a handful of toe-rag southern fascists have tried to enter our city.
Toe-rag southern fascists.
And they've been corralled and surrounded by the people of this city, and we do not intend to let them march.
Look at the number, hundreds there. And around 20 or so from the far right. Yeah, they might have big flags between the 20 of them there, but...
And they will not go anywhere near Liverpool 8. Alan Gibbons, Liverpool Community Independent Councillor, surrounding the UKIP waddlers on Lime Street.
The UKIP waddlers on Lime Street, well put there. Well put there, Alan Gibbons, Independent Councillor in Liverpool. Here's the clip of Tenkoni that I mentioned. So you'll see where one counter-protester managed to get through, but look at this stupid twat. It's quite easy to identify in the pictures and footage because he was draped in this St. George's flag. He has it wrapped around himself most of the time, apart from when he's trying to do this photo op here. But just check this out, people. It speaks for itself. See about 20 of them there, and he's just met by someone who really doesn't like him being in Liverpool. Tells him what for. Well, you can see there he does get pretty close to his face, but doesn't get physical. But Nick Tenkoni certainly wants to. Look at that. If you think that's your way of gloating or showing any form of victory in Liverpool, you're certainly deluded. I mean, what's he thinking? Just don't even bother. Don't even bother. Obviously, Liverpool wouldn't exist if it wasn't for immigration. A similar history of immigration to Manchester. Irish roots, for example, and other countries on continental Europe as well. So, not a view that's open and welcome in Liverpool by any means, and you can see here, that's all of them, from right to left, from left to right of your screen. That was all of them. There you see, it's about 20 or so. Just show you again. Give benefit of the doubt, 25 or 30 perhaps, but still vastly outnumbered, and that's them leaving Liverpool with the tails between the legs. Not a Liverpudlian myself, but I'm sure that anyone who's from there won't mind me telling them that they're not welcome back either. They can get back on the bus and ironically F off back where they came from. Well done, Liverpool. Going to take a look at some other locations in a moment. Just a quick reminder, make sure you hit thumbs up on the stream, people. I can see a few people have joined us in the chat whilst we're watching those clips. Mr. Quimper and Edward Sexby, great to see you. Smash those buttons, people. Let us know in the chats or in the comments if you're watching back later if there are any counter demonstrations where you're from. Where the far right are concerned, you have to use the word demonstrations in its loosest possible terms, really. Which you'll hopefully see further examples of here. Again, small numbers massively in favour of the counter demonstrations in Bristol, aforementioned Liverpool and London, as well as Mould in Wales, Perth in Scotland and County Antrim in Northern Ireland. It says the police stepped in to keep opposing groups separated in many places where anti-racism campaigners mounted counter demonstrations. Oh, I'm quite stunned actually. So at least the BBC there have inadvertently admitted that they are racist. They've certainly been helping to fan the flames themselves, all this hyperbole over immigration. So if they are anti-racism campaigners, then what does that make the air quotes demonstrators? Well, exactly. So this comes after a High Court ruling this week blocked a hotel in Epping in Essex from accommodating asylum seekers, which we just mentioned earlier. Bristol City Council has said it has no plans to challenge the government in using hotels. Police in the city said a 37 woman was arrested on suspicion of assaulting an emergency worker. Real classy demonstrators there, aren't they? Other protests took place in Exeter, Tamworth, Cannock, that's in the West Midlands, Nuneaton, Wakefield, Newcastle up in all across in the northeast, and Hawley in Surrey. So all over and in every country. Well, the UK actually, as there were counter demos in Northern Ireland as well. About 300 joined the protest in Mould. 40 in County Antrim. See, these numbers are very low. I don't understand the irony of me covering these as well, but the BBC are being somewhat hyperbolic. It's important to stand up against the far right, of course. I'm glad that there was such a great turnout at the counter demonstrations, and that the BBC are covering it, but they don't help when they run articles, record numbers, this, and fanning the flames doesn't help. Well, stuff like this. Figures released on Thursday showed that the number of asylum seekers being housed in hotels had reached 32,059, an 8% increase in the year since Labour came to power in the 2023 And this crowd, this rabble here, never have any clue what they're talking about. They throw the word illegals around. Which is completely statistically false. They can't name a single person on whichever small boat it is that they were classed as illegal. These people are unprocessed asylum seekers, and we're talking about a process which has about a 75-80% acceptance rate. And those who don't pass have to go somewhere else. Of course, we know that this isn't real patriotism, people. It's just an excuse for people to try and express their outdated racist views. A guitar guy, great to see in the in the chat. You're playing GTA while you're listening/watching. Interesting. What's up next, people? Just take a look here. Yeah, we'll lead up to this declassified UK report. I did a video on that went public this morning, and well, going to lead up to that with a little more on Gaza as well. Starting with this announcement that was made around the time that the United Nations officially declared a famine in Gaza. We all have known that it has been for some time, but that has become official now. This is Tom Fletcher, who describes some of the things that have led to that conclusion. So it's undeniable by all accounts now, all bar, of course, you know who.
Cover to cover. Read it in sorrow and in anger. Not as words and numbers, but as names and lives. Be in no doubt that this is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine, the Gaza famine. It is a famine that we could have prevented. It is a famine that hits the most vulnerable first, each with a name, each with a story, that strips people of dignity before it strips them of life, that forces a parent to choose which child to feed, that forces people to risk their lives to seek food. It is a famine that we repeatedly warned of, but that the international media has not been allowed in to cover, to bear witness. It is a famine in 2025, a 21st century famine, watched over by drones and the most advanced military technology in history. It is a famine openly promoted by some Israeli leaders as a weapon of war. It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. It is a famine that asks, but what did you do? A famine that will and must haunt us all. It is a predictable and a preventable famine. A famine caused by cruelty, justified by revenge, enabled by indifference, and sustained by complicity. It is a
Complicity, make note of that word. That's what we'll come on to as well. If you're from the UK, that is certainly something that is hanging over the government that we have at the moment, and the ones in the recent past as well, but more about that later on.
Famine that must spur the world to more urgent action, that must shame the world to do better. It is a famine that therefore also asks, and what now will you do? My ask, my plea, my demand to Prime Minister Netanyahu and anyone who can reach him: enough. Ceasefire. Open the crossings, north and south, all of them, Let us get food and other supplies in, unimpeded, and at the massive scale required. End the retribution. It is too late for far too many, but not for everyone in Gaza. Enough. For humanity's sake, let us in. Thank you.
And that was Tom Fletcher, of course, stating the obvious, something we've all been aware of for some time. But there it is, officially stamped. And it's even been admitted to, which I'll show you in a moment. But first of all, a massive shout out to Mr. Quimper, who's sent a very generous 20 gifted memberships there. Thank you very much, Mr. Quimper. Big up. Let's get some hype in the chat for that support. Which actually, I believe, takes us up to a record 130 members on the channel now. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Mr. Quimper. I said great stuff again. Thank you in solidarity. Nina said you missed it. You were bringing the washing in. You missed the last clip. Well, feel free to skip back a little if you want to catch up, if you didn't join us from the start, if you missed any of the clips or anything.
And to anybody who's watching it in increased speed, this next sentence goes out to you.
Good luck with that one. Thanks again, Mr. Quimper. I guess I'll just put this tweet up. It speaks for itself. I'll just have to excuse myself for a couple of moments, people. But read over this as if any accusation could now be denied as best as whatever troll you might come across on social media or wherever, or perhaps even in the comments of some of the content on this channel. Whatever they might say, I now present one very simple piece of irrefutable evidence as to the famine and starvation, where the blame lies. And it's right here. And I'll be right back in just a moment, people, as we get into this next talking point. Thanks for your patience there, people. That was a comfort break, not a technical difficulty. Not good. Fingers crossed. We're still doing well. Haven't had to call the IT team out once on the stream so far. Perhaps the full service has done its stuff. FSM's the dog is also with us in the chat. Also, people, there you go. That's from March. In light of Hamas's refusal of the Vitkov plan, we have decided to prevent any entry of goods and supplies into Gaza. Exhibit 1A, Your Honour. And here's an example of what that leads to.
There is no natural drinking water in Gaza. It must be brought in, or salt water must be treated to allow life to survive. 9 treatment units that could provide clean water have been stuck at the border for months. We asked to bring treatment units into Gaza, but the Israeli authorities refuse. Gaza's water plants need fuel to power generators to provide electricity. Humanitarian organizations ask to bring sufficient fuel into Gaza, but the Israeli authorities refuse. Water plants need all sorts of items to keep running. We ask to bring in spare parts and chemicals to provide more clean water, but the Israeli authorities refuse. Israeli authorities, let people have water. Let people live. Israel, stop your genocide.
Well, it's theirs. They own it. And unfortunately, it shames me to say that at least at a government level, the UK is complicit. Despite the public speaking out, despite the protests, despite the warnings in the House of Commons itself, from people with some actual grey matter between their ears who warned of complicity in war crimes. But the powers that be were blindsided from the shiny trinkets that were put in front of them. In Lammy's case, that comes to the tune of some £70,000 from a lobbyist just 1 month. So that would have been in November 2023. Further confirmations as well that as early as October the 9th and 10th 2023 there was a deal on the table that included full return of the hostages in exchange for IDF withdrawal from Gaza that was rejected by Israel. Of course, they need this to continue, not just to take domestic pressure off of Netanyahu, but also for the maniacal and fascistic plans for this so-called Greater Israel. But speaking of great in the true sense, Hedy sending 5 gifted memberships into the chat. Great stuff, thank you very much for your ongoing support, Hedy. Awesome. That takes us again extending the record to 135. Wonderful. Let's big up Hedy in the chat there, people. Thanks again. What a great audience we have here on My Left Eye. So where was I? Well, yes, it's not just Lammy, as you'll see in this excerpt that I used clips of in the recent video. This great piece from Declassified UK totally spells out exactly what Lammy's up to, Starmer, and some other familiar names and faces as well. The bastards that they are.
Joining me now to discuss this is my colleague, John McAvoy. Now, John, I mentioned Trevor Chinn's donation to Keir Starmer, the £50,000 that he gave him, but he's been giving money to lots of other Labour MPs as well, hasn't he? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we found at Declassified that the pro-Israel lobby had donated to 13 of 25 members of Starmer's cabinet when he first came into power.
Immediately, 13 out of 25, half of the cabinet, straight away, bang, this is Trevor Chinn, who they're talking about. This really is something, because you can, for example, Lisa Nandy's on there, and never want to shy away from an opportunity to have a dig at her. She used to be part of the Labour for Palestine movement. And now look at her, taking thousands of pounds from the lobbies.
And Trevor Chinn is a key kind of figure in this. He's donated to, as you mentioned, Starmer. He's donated to David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, on various occasions. He's donated to Lisa Nandy while she was Vice Chair of the Labour Friends of Palestine. Also Rachel Reeves, the current Chancellor, Angela Rayner, Wes Streeting.
Angela Rayner, of course, before we get on to Wes Streeting. But came out today that Angela Rayner's just purchased her third property. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, they're them some comrades alike. Yes, her third property, which is valued, they say, at a whopping £800,000. And this is the working class girl from Ashton-under-Lyne. So you heard that right, she's now got 3 houses, the latest of which is valued at £800,000.
What?
What?
What? Okay.
What?
You gotta be f***ing kidding.
As well. So this is one of the most significant donors to the Labour Party, I would say.
And what are his specific links to David Lammy? Because we're going to talk in a minute about this secret meeting that he had with him, but he's got a long history there, hasn't he?
Yeah, a very long history. So in 2012, David Lammy accompanied
Let's go. It's up, we're back. I think the buffering stopped now. Yep, sorry about that. That YouTube studio, apologies. What's going on? Let's crack on with the clip.
Streeting as well. So this is one of the most significant donors to the Labour Party, I would say.
And what are his specific links to David Lammy? Because we're going to talk in a minute about this secret meeting that he had with him, but he's got a long history there, hasn't he?
Yeah, a very long history. So in 2012, David Lammy accompanied Trevor Chinn to Israel on a delegation which was organised by Labour Friends of Israel. Which
Again, this is 13 years ago, people. 13 years ago.
Which also happens to have been funded at times by Trevor Chinn.
This precedes even Jeremy Corbyn becoming leader of the Labour Party. Just think about it. Think about it.
For David Lammy's mayoral campaign to become Mayor of London in, I believe, 2014-2015, he received around £30,000 from Trevor Chinn. Now, that campaign was also directed from David Menser, another former chair of Labour Friends of Israel.
Menser, of course, we're all too familiar with his fork-tongued ways here on My Left Eye. Israeli spokesperson, serial liar. Not a single essence of truth comes out of a single sentence that leaves his mouth. Really is the absolute pits of the world. And these are the kind of guys who David Lammy's in league with.
Israel, who's currently a spokesperson for the Israeli government.
In Gaza today, there's no famine caused by Israel. There is a man-made shortage.
Look, it's right there. It's fucking right there, David. It is right there. We have decided to prevent any entry of goods and supplies into Gaza, March the 2nd, 2025. It's right there. Exhibit 1A. But when it gets to The Hague, all being well, that's where this will end. They should start with this. The prosecution should start with this. Exhibit 1A. Under the subheading Confessions. And then they can, put an innumerable amount of TikTok and Instagram clips to follow it. But it's right there, David. It's right there. Don't insult us.
But it's been engineered by Hamas.
Following that, over the past few years, he's received several donations. David Lammy has received several donations from an organisation called Labour Together, which is effectively a kind of a very controversial think tank, one of the key funders of which is Trevor Chin. So Trevor Chin and David Lammy have this kind of long history together.
Trevor, obviously you've got long experience of both the UK and Israel.
I spent my entire life working for Israel, for a better image for Israel, for success for Israel, and getting people like this involved with Israel.
Note the date on the stamp there. That was the 4th of June 2023. So he makes it his #1 priority to get people like David Lammy involved with Israel.
If you give a lot of money to politicians, you might expect that you get sort of privileged access to them. Now, we can't say for sure that's what's happened, but tell us about this meeting that Trevor Chin had recently with David Lammy.
Well, what we've found just in the past week is that Trevor Chin has held 2 off-the-books meetings with UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy and also...
2013, sorry, not 2023.
...the Foreign Minister for the Middle East, Hamish Falconer. Now, ordinarily, meetings between Foreign Office officials should be declared, in transparency data that's published by the Foreign Office. Yet these meetings didn't show.
Yeah, it's very concerning to think that the Foreign Secretary doesn't wake up in the morning with the interests of the United Kingdom at heart. If he's more concerned with appeasing Trevor Chin and Israel, then that's a conflict of interest. It should certainly be declared. And this, like we said, has been going on since even before Jeremy Corbyn became leader of the opposition. It's disgraceful. It's disgusting, and of course point out recent tweets from David Lammy where he sheds crocodile tears for Gazans now that it's been officially declared as a famine. It really is an insult. But like I point out in that video as well, if he admits that Israel is committing any kind of war crime or illegal activity, that immediately incriminates himself.
Go up at all, and we only found out about them because we issued a Freedom of Information request to the Foreign Office to ask whether key officials like Lammy and Falconer had been meeting with Labour Friends of Israel, Trevor Chin, and various different organisations and individuals associated with the pro-Israel lobby in Britain. And it came back that indeed David Lammy had met with Trevor Chin in February this year. The meeting with Falconer.
Yeah, Hamish Falconer, you remember him? He's come up on the channel before. When he's in the House of Commons and anyone questions the UK's role in what's happening in Gaza, he's the one who just he will bang the dispatch box a few times. He'll flap his wobbly bottom lip and obscurely refer to monitoring the legal situation, saying that international law is followed at all times. The very robotic response. That's his role in all of this. That's what he's getting paid for. So there it is.
Falconer was in March this year. But the Foreign Office has refused to say what was discussed. They say these were political meetings, so they didn't have access. There were no other diplomats involved in these meetings. But given Trevor Chin's past, it seems likely at least that Israel and Gaza was quite high on the agenda.
Joining me now.
Of course it was. Absolute top of the agenda. Let's not be under any illusions about that. Very good report there from Declassified UK. I've posted the link to their original video in the last video that came out on the channel. I'll bung that into the description of this live stream when I'm finished as well. I've got another plug coming up shortly, but first of all, let's get into the latest, though, what's happening on the ground. Like I said, I want to get into the reporting about all of this. You might have mentioned anyone who follows the channel on social media. I highlighted earlier, particular lack of the word illegal from this headline as well as the article, as Israel pounds Gaza City in preparation for planned offensive. And speaking of loft conversions, let's go over and see how June and Terry are getting along. Andy, any luck resolving their little problem? This is going to be quality daytime television, people. Planes and tanks have pounded parts of Gaza City as Israel's plans to seize the territory's largest urban area. Increase pressure. The word illegal should be in there. To illegally seize territory's largest urban area. Increase pressure on nearly 1 million Palestinians living there. Residents have spoken of uninterrupted explosions in the northern and eastern parts of the city. Israeli troops have also returned to illegally blow up buildings in the refugee camp of Jabalia further north. That's just casually, you know. And then they just went back and blew up a refugee camp. Nothing, you know. We can't say how you should feel about that, of course. We're the BBC, have to be impartial. But we're going to spend most of the rest of the article telling you what Israel has said. And let's not waste any time in reminding you about October the 7th. Blum, 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 blum. Also, do they want to mention the Hannibal directive there? No? Do they want to talk about October the 6th or the 5th or... massive campaign to defeat Hamas, they describe it as. And again, they use the word operation. Some 60,000 reservists are being called up to take part in the operation. It's an illegal attack. Hello? Hello? Might be celebrating having passed 5,000 subscribers on the channel here on My Left Eye, but I can't say that we've reached the heights that the British Broadcasting Corporation has. That being the current only outlet that's more viewed than YouTube itself. But lo and behold, even I, your humble host Lefty, know that this is illegal. So this is Pauline Kohler who's done this report. Can't say that I can shed any light on her background in training in journalism, but hopefully you'd expect that even she would be able to recognise just how criminal it is. A little bit more about the latest ceasefire talks. Of course, this won't help. Israel know it won't help. It's no coincidence that they're choosing this illegal assault at the same time as the negotiations are ongoing. And then, oh no, look, the hummus went and ruined the talks, didn't they? It was all their fault, so yeah, let's not have the ceasefire. And in fact, let's illegally annex more land. And well, we've seen this before. It happened in Rafah, didn't it? Which has now been razed to the ground. And now the sights are set on Gaza City. And that is where the impasse seems to be at the moment. How many hostages are going to be released? Israel are demanding that all of them be released. But Hamas are saying they'll do about half of the remaining hostages that are alive. And obviously, from Hamas's point of view, they only have one bargaining chip, and that is the hostages. But on the flip side of things, if Israel did get all of the hostages back, then Netanyahu's excuses and reasoning completely collapse. But that is where they can't agree. %86% of Gaza in militarised zones are under evacuation orders, but because again, let's just casually report that one country has the right to issue evacuation orders to another country. Oh, that makes all the airstrikes, we told them about it before we launched the airstrikes. That makes it legit, as though that's in any sense realistic. How's that loft conversion coming along? How's the landscape gardening project coming along? It's the same vibes. But you can blow up buildings in the middle of a refugee camp, and all that it warrants is one very bland sentence in a BBC article. Once again, if any other country was doing this, they'd be up in arms. They'd be getting right in your faces, telling you how to feel. Such and such outrageous, illegal, heinous attacks and so on and so forth, but no. It's a landscape gardening project. It's backed by these people. You'd think with so many journalists as well, having been targeted, they'd have a different agenda. But no, the dedication to reporting with bias towards Israel is so huge that it even outweighs the fact that some of the very colleagues being targeted and killed is no deterrent for the way that they're choosing to report this. I mean, it illustrates the sense of things in Parliament in the UK. Fortunately, there's a stronger sense of resistance and solidarity in New Zealand. Take a look at this clip, people. This is a New Zealand MP who's been barred from attending the House by the Speaker for 1 week after this statement in their Parliament.
If we find 6 of 68 government MPs with a spine, we can stand on the right side of history.
That is completely unacceptable to make that statement. Withdraw it and apologise.
No.
Then leave the House for the rest of the week.
Absolutely. Mr. Speaker, I guess at this point in time the question really has to be asked, what words are left? We have libraries and libraries and libraries worth of evidence and research and data that tells us that what is happening in Palestine and has been happening for the last 76 years is ethnic cleansing. It is apartheid. It is genocide. And then there are the live streams that are now being delivered to all of our cell phones 24/7 over the last better part of 2 years. Mr. Speaker, my question for this place is, what the hell is the point of our jobs? Because so far all I have heard from contributions is the blame game. New Zealanders, Mr. Speaker, the world, Mr. Speaker, deserves so much better than that. We hear from members of the government and from the Prime Minister in response to our questions today that this is all just a matter of strongly held views, apparently on both sides. But, Mr. Speaker, genocide is a fact, not a feeling. Omar Bartov, a professor of Holocaust and genocide studies at Brown University, says, and I quote, "My inescapable conclusion has become that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. Having grown up in a Zionist home, lived the first half of my life in Israel, served in the IDF as a soldier and officer, and spent most of my career researching and writing on war crimes and the Holocaust, this was a painful conclusion to reach, and one that I resisted as long as I could. But I have been teaching classes on genocide for a quarter of a century. I can recognise one when I see one." Mr. Speaker, we asked the Prime Minister today what the harm could possibly be of recognising in the most basic sense Palestinian statehood. And frankly, Mr. Speaker, he could not answer the question.
The simple answer probably being that he's been paid a large amount of money to remain silent.
Instead, in the face of 500,000 people being consciously and intentionally starved to death after being mercilessly carpet-bombed and sniped as they line up for food aid, the Prime Minister decided to appeal once again to Hamas. In the face of innocent people being slaughtered, he appealed to, but what about the terrorist organisation? So, Mr. Speaker, to use that...
Israel are the terrorist organisation here, a military wing of a political organisation. Just because they've been prescribed here and there doesn't make them that. Under international law, a country has a right to defend itself against illegal occupation by any means. By any means. So, again, don't come with the October the 7th stuff. Great to see One for All in the chat, new recipients of membership. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy your perks.
Rationale, and to use that logic in response, this government is willing so far to seemingly only recognise one of the two states in the two-state solution that is supposedly arguing for. Yet it is not willing to apply the same rationale with regard to terroristic violence, the likes of the genocidal campaign which Israel and the IDF is currently raining down on the Palestinian people. How is that not the basis for the same questions to be asked about the statehood of Israel? Mr. Speaker, then there's just the bald-faced facts. We are a laggard, we are an outlier, and it is not only appalling in the face of this genocide and of the merciless slaughter of these innocent people after having been made refugees in their own land, but we are one of the very few countries in the world who so far refuse to acknowledge the absolute bare minimum. 146 UN member states currently recognise Palestinian statehood. That is 3/4 of the United Nations membership. And so far over the last few weeks we have seen that the United Kingdom, Canada, France and Australia have all moved to commit their intent. But
well, ours has got caveats. It's got an asterisk next to it. There are certain conditions, but yeah, she's right. 3/4 of the United Nations members, an overwhelming amount. New Zealand dragging their feet, getting behind other nations. Even Germany have announced an arms embargo, full arms embargo on Israel.
so far all our government can seem to do is commit to a process. Mr. Speaker, it utterly beggars belief. Human rights should not be conditional. We don't get human rights because somebody else decides that we are worthy, but we get them because we are human. The best way to lose your own human rights is to care about them only when it impacts and affects you. But Mr. Speaker, we have so much further to go than merely recognising the statehood of Palestine as we should have done 76 years ago. We can and we must uphold the Genocide Convention, which means doing everything that we can to prevent a genocide before it occurs. So, Mr. Speaker, I will reiterate my call for the government to pick up our unlawful occupation of Palestine sanctions bill and to sanction Israel for its war crimes. If we find 6 of 68 government MPs with a spine, we can stand on the right side of history.
Not entirely 100% certain about the inner workings of the New Zealand Parliament, but just 6 people, if that's what they need to push it through officially. That's all that she's asking for, if that'll get it over the line. She's been barred for the rest of the week for that speech. But I'll try and keep you posted whether 6 people actually did grow a spine and put the country on the right side of history.
It's completely unacceptable to make that statement. Withdraw it and apologise.
And look at this. Sloppy fuck right here, Jesus Christ. Withdraw it and apologise. No, that was 100% bare truth, you know.
Then leave the House for the rest of the week.
Happily.
Yeah. So, representing the New Zealand Greens there, that was Chloe Swarbrick, by the way. Forgot to give a shout out to the name, but it's not just exclusive to politics, the clamping down, the attempts to silence people who are speaking out. This is happening within the United States military as well. Going to hear some testimony now from a soldier, a long-serving US soldier as well. I'll just get this lined up. So yeah, the reach goes pretty far. Let's see another example.
So after 20 years of service in the military, yesterday I got pulled into an officer's office and counseled for a post that I have on my social media. During the counseling, they told me I'm under investigation as a threat to national security. When I asked for proof,
a threat to national security,
like what the posts were yesterday, they refused to give it to me. They made me come back today to further go over stuff. They gave me the proof, and the proof they gave me are anti-Israel posts. Now, when I joined the military, I took an allegiance to support the United States of America. I did not ever take an allegiance to support Israel. But yet, I am deemed a national a threat to national security because I do not support Israel and their genocide against the Palestinian people.
Well, the thing is, it's probably only just dawning on this guy here, but Israel, some argue, is the 51st state of America, really.
Yes, you heard that right. I am deemed a threat to national security because I don't support Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people.
And it's saying what I just did, by the way. I'm not excusing it or legitimising what's happening to this soldier by any means. It's absolutely abhorrent. What he's saying is absolutely correct. And again, we're getting into the matter of politicians in the UK, in the United States of America, not putting their own country first, despite what Trump will say, has that as his literal, one of his clarion calls, this American first MAGA stuff at the moment. But they say that. The reality is they're putting Israel before their own country and persecuting those who are speaking out against it. It's revolting.
Since when does not supporting a foreign nation get a U.S. soldier investigated for being a threat to national security?
Really good TikTok there from, let's just get the name, Joseph Guilbeau there. Keep you posted with that. Well done to him for speaking out. I doubt he'll be alone in that. Lest we mention, of course, Aaron Bushnell, of course, another famous army veteran who protested against Israel's actions in a completely different way, of course. My point being that he's definitely not alone in those sentiments. Probably won't be alone in examples of people being taken to one side or suspended. Meanwhile, a known felon sits in the White House. Yeah, very good video of that. Let's get into some action, people, and something that's coming up that's definitely worth keeping an eye on is the latest Freedom Flotilla. And this time around, there's a familiar face to the channel who's going to be joining them. I'm going to play a video from one of the organisers first, though. I won't give any spoilers away through the familiar faces, normally known for their comedy skits, but this time really putting themselves on the line in the fight to get aid through into Gaza.
We are working so hard to prepare everything to set sail to Gaza, to break the siege and to create a people's humanitarian corridor on the biggest mission ever attempted since this horrific siege was established 18 years ago, and on the moment that is the most critical moment for Palestinian history. So we need you. We need to mobilize everyone right now. Hello everyone, I'm Thiago Avila, an internationalist communicator and social environmentalist from Brazil, from the Global South. I'm also from the steering committee of the Global Sumud Flotilla. This initiative that is getting people that you know from previous boat missions to break the siege, but also the global movement to Gaza, also the Sumud Convoy, Sumud Nusantara. We're all together in over 44 countries, mobilizing not only for the boat missions, but also for many mobilizations, because we know that the time to act is now. The situation in Gaza is getting worse and worse by the day. The full invasion of Gaza City, despite the disgust of the people in the world, but so far we have been unable to stop the genocide, the ethnic cleansing, the Zionist horrific war machine. So we need to intensify our efforts. We have so many people here working so hard. On the 31st, we're departing from here, from Barcelona, with dozens of boats, and we're joining the dozens of boats that are leaving from Tunisia and other countries as well, and we're sailing together on this mission. It's been so wonderful to work with that many people, so dedicated to the Palestinian cause, so aware that it's not about any of us, that it's about a historical moment that, like other moments, other generations defeated apartheid in South Africa, defeated Nazism, defeated fascism. It's our turn to stop Zionism and imperialism. We cannot see anymore people being starved to death. We cannot see bombing of hospitals, schools, shelters, the whole destruction of Gaza City right now. The last place that is left in Gaza. We cannot allow that. We need to do everything we can. We've seen the request, the pledge from the people of Gaza. We need to do that. Now is the time to do everything we can. And it's been so beautiful to see people dedicated to mobilize. The people were saying, who would go on a mission like that? Because the risks are so high, and they are high. But 28,000 people apply to this because people know it's the right time. It's necessary.
I know that part is probably CGI, but can you imagine that? You know, any viewers out there have a boat? We could see if a billionaire will lend us one of the yachts, maybe for a while. I don't really know how you would sail it. If we could perhaps borrow some crew as well. I don't know, but that would be a good sight to see.
Necessary to go. And people know that this is the decisive moment, it's the critical moment. So please spread the word. Help us to build up on this. Help us to put the biggest pressure on the governments who are complicit, to break relations with Israel, to mobilize, to echo the voices of the Palestinian people. This is the moment that we put all of our efforts. We need to do this right now. And we are so close. Every day here we have beautiful news of the mobilization getting fruits, and things will work out. Just don't stop working. Don't despair. Channel your anger, your dignified anger into work. And let's do this together.
A really good testimony there. Setting off soon from Barcelona, as you heard. I will wish them well, bon voyage. Hopefully more. Well, John, I'll keep you posted on that situation. Just a quick reminder before I go on to the familiar face who will be joining the flotilla. Some news came in just as I started the stream this evening. Apparently now Israel have begun attacks not only on Gaza City but also in Yemen, with around 40 missiles from around a dozen planes hitting various targets around Yemen. I'll keep you posted on that situation. So as I said, here's someone normally known for the comedy skits, but this time seriously getting involved by joining the flotilla. The wonderful Tide Hickey.
I just want to let all you beautiful people know that I'm going to be travelling on the Global Sumud Flotilla. We leave on the 31st of August from Barcelona. Please support us any way you can. I am just so honoured to be part of what will be the largest, most comprehensive attempts to break the illegal and immoral siege on Gaza for 18 years. I am not mad about going, to be honest with you. It's not something that I would have ever chosen to do. I'm not a big boats guy. I'm not a sailor by trade or anything. I've got young kids. I've got 3 beautiful daughters. 2 of them are very young. One is 14 weeks old, and it's going to absolutely break my heart to be away from the girls for that length of time. I'm not a big selfie guy either. You know, the kind of gospel according to Piers Morgan would teach us all that we're just all interested in. I've never actually taken a selfie in my life. And if I was to go on a selfie trip, I could think of much better routes to take than one that would end up with you being incarcerated in the prisons of the Nazis of the 21st century. The reason I go on this trip is because A, I've been asked and I think I'd be useful. I've asked other people to take one step more before in my activism call-outs. If I don't take one step more myself, then I'm just...
Yeah, I'm someone who has taken non-violent direct action, has convictions, has risked custodial sentence with actions that I've taken. I've either been acquitted or convicted for all of my actions so far. I don't have any pending trials or anything. But Ty here really does know what he's putting on the line in terms of risking his personal liberty, because it certainly is a hell of a lot worse if you're incarcerated in Israel than it would be here in the UK, no doubt about it. So yeah, you're right there in the chat. He is so friggin' brave, and also shout out for the gifted membership there, Morbius. Thank you very much. Big up more in the chat. That takes up to 136 now. Let's hear some more from this great testimony.
Full of shit, aren't they? And I'm just all talk. So maybe if people see me taking that extra little step, they might say, okay, we can all up our game here, because the time is now. I feel like we're in a moment right now that's just very simple. It's just like apartheid South Africa. It's just like the rise of Nazism. I'll give the Zionists one thing. It is simply a battle between good and evil. And we're battling right now, not just for Palestine, but for our own souls. If we let this ideology consume all of us, we die. We die with the beautiful people of Palestine anyway. So the other reason I'm going is because there's a famine on in Gaza right now, guys. Like, aside from the mass slaughter, there's a famine. That's not me saying it. That's a UN-backed body declaring that famine is on right now. As an Irish person, you know, my country's historically defined in many ways by man-made famine. For me to look at Palestinian people...
It is, absolutely. Here's one that I'm not sure if any viewers will be aware of. The population in Ireland is still lower than it was pre-potato famine. Yes, that's absolutely right. So, very historically significant association with famine, where the Irish come from, and they've always showed a huge amount of support for Palestine. For that reason,
women and children dying on the streets because, you know, another government has decreed that that's okay because they're ethnically inferior to them. That feels uncanny for an Irish person. So I have to do everything in my power to try and put some little bit of pressure on this unbelievably spineless cohort of world leaders that are letting this go on. And those children that I speak of, it's going to be really painful to be away from them, but it'd be more painful in 10, 20 years' time if they asked me what I did during the Gaza Holocaust, and if I had to say not enough.
It is. You can imagine if there was still apartheid in South Africa, previous generations would have to answer for why they didn't stop that. There are, of course, generations where it went by. There were generations where this country, let's even point out some of the people who ended up running this country, were members of society during the Eton education, which sought to criminalise people like Nelson Mandela, or worse. So they still have a lot to answer for, but hypothetically, had apartheid not been stopped, then that generation would have had a lot more to answer for. Let's not let our generation have to answer for what's happening in Gaza today to our forebears.
So please support us any way we can. The applications, I think, are closed now to the general public, but we could still have openings for people who have massive platforms. I know Madonna was on to the Pope. They're asking him, would he go on the global flotilla? What I'd say to Madonna is, would you go yourself, Madonna? Why don't you yourself?
Yeah. If you could... What are the words I'm looking for here? Bear with me. If you were offered, okay, carte blanche on this situation with the flotilla, what could you do to increase its efficacy, to increase its chances of success? Yeah, you could stick people like Madonna on it, but I'm not sure if they'd treat her any differently than they did Greta Thunberg, for example. But the Pope, well, that enters a whole another sort of realm, as it were. That could be one idea. But how about having it escorted by the British Navy? Because obviously a lot of this is our mess, and we should do our best to clean it up. But have them escorted there by the British and US. I think maybe US Navy is too far-fetched. But yeah, get the Pope on there and whomever else, and then let's see if the IDF, if Israel wants to go up against the British Navy and they'd have a diplomatic crisis on their hands if they did the same thing to the Pope as they did Greta Thunberg. But there are ways, there are avenues, and that wasn't, you know, too far-fetched what I just described there. Let's be honest, maybe you could take the Pope element out of it if you want. But Susan Sarandon, maybe, yes. Susan Sarandon. Let's get, you know, let's get her on board one of the craft. And the sheer numbers as well. You know, it doesn't have to be all A-listers. You can overwhelm them with the number of craft. You could make this a logistical nightmare for the IDF to have to come along if it's hundreds and hundreds of vessels. A good question. Would George Michael go if he was still around? Nicola, good question there. I certainly wouldn't rule him out. Maybe Lennon if he was still around, but McCartney's still with us. You don't see him really getting too involved with this. One of my other earlier points, of course, being music goes so far. You know, they can obviously write some absolute belters that will illustrate war or other social strife, and you obviously have the likes of the peace movement in history, as well as artists, you know, Bob Dylan, for example, who's won a Nobel Prize. But music only goes so far. But when it comes to the crunch, you see people getting involved with stuff like this. Where's Bono at? This is one of the bravest Irishmen you'll ever come across here on your screens. Where's Bono and The Edge? Nope, nothing from them.
And the Pope go, and you can sing like a prayer to him. Be brilliant. Please spread the word. The more eyeballs on us, the safer we are from the war criminals. We'll find it more difficult to commit more war crimes. If you want to support us,
Nina said it, Brian may or he may not.
financially, there's a link below for the Irish ship. I would recommend supporting the Irish ship. That'll probably be the coolest and the cutest, I think, ship of all. Keep an eye on the Global Smooth Flotilla page. Primarily, that's where you'll get all the centralised information about what's happening. Please join all the other events that are going beyond in conjunction with the flotilla. And yeah, take one step more. Just take one step more. We're nearly there. We're really nearly there. Free Palestine and Chuck Yarlaw. I just want to...
Well done. Well, wish him and all those on the flotilla the best of luck, of course. Not a lot of love for Bono, I can see coming again in the chat. I'll keep you up to speed with the progress of Flotilla as well. Brian May actually recently stood down from his conservationist badger programme. Didn't he? The Save the Badgers campaign as well, apparently. I'm not knocking Brian May or conservation. Don't get me wrong, just pointing that one out. Let's have some music, eh, fellas? Doc Davies, start a maypole. Should Brian May join the Freedom Flotilla? Say you aye or say you nay? Don't tempt me, Doc. Where was I, people? I'll just be getting on to a domestic matter in a moment. I need to do a little plug first while we're on the topic of Gaza, just to round things off. A regular viewer on the channel has put together a bit of a documentary, so would really appreciate you checking this one out. Something from Aaron Gray's channel, so give that a subscribe when you get over there as well. I'll just post a link to this video in the chat. You'll find that in the description of this stream as well, if you'd like to get over there. It's the latest draft, so please make sure that you subscribe, give it a thumbs up, add a comment, do the best that you can. I always have to show solidarity with fellow socialist YouTubers here on my left. You should have that link there now. And you do indeed. So bookmark that one for after we've finished the stream. Like I said, you'll find it in the description of this broadcast as well. Another quick domestic matter, something a bit more positive, something to feel happy about, I guess, as we get towards the end of the doom scrolling. It's all happened rather quickly. You can see in less than 2 weeks, support for Farage among young people has absolutely plummeted. This is an article from the Canary. Just get rid of these ads, apologies. Just go through the main bulk of the stats. Again, I'll post this article in the stream description if you want to check it out in full. But it appears that the youth are branding Farage as a con artist, and the fall in support for Farage could benefit Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana's new Left Party, which has already reached 750,000 sign-ups. I think that's nearly 800,000 now, isn't it? And amongst 18 to 24-year-olds, Corbyn has an approval rating of plus 18, while Starmer has one of minus 30. Main part of the reason is Farage expressing his desire to move to a US-style insurance-based healthcare system. Not something which would sit well with anyone, let alone the youth. And also his policies on the economy, which would further rig it in favour of the rich. But that's a good article there from the Canary. Just wanted to give that one a quick shout out. Check that one out in full. But we're going on 2 hours now on the stream. So I'll just give another shout out to all of the members on the channel. Thank you very much for all of your generous gifted memberships as well this evening. Launching us up to 136 members. So this list will be updated accordingly. Thank you very much for all of your support. Super thanks are open if anybody's watching back later on. There's also a Buy Me a Coffee page if you don't have the means to support via YouTube. Check out the link again in the description of the stream or the channel. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's bring the chat back on the screen. Thank you to Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics there for providing the background jingles on the Sunday live stream. Now though, we return to the greatest earworm on the internet and the Fondue Lounge with Keith. As we say our goodbyes on the channel, please do stick around to the end though. We're going to be raiding in somewhere else. Just going to have a look who's live there now. Into quite a selection actually, but we're going to go with Kevin Logan. Let's give Kev a boost this Socialist Sunday, people. Make sure that you hit thumbs up on his stream and give us a shout out when we get over there. As for streams on this channel, I'll be back with you throughout next week, of course, with The Brews at 10. And make sure you hit the notification bell and check out community posts if you want to keep up to speed with the latest content. Final plug for that video that came out earlier today as well. Please do check that out and share it around. You've been a great audience this evening as well. Thanks for all of your comments in the chat. Wonderful as always. I've been your host, Lefty. This has been the Sunday stream on My Left Eye. Solidarity this Socialist Sunday. My Left Eye, I'll be seeing you soon. Power to the people and free Palestine.
Socialists